Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing well. We're continuing our reading of Friedrich Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra book. It is witty, sassy. The last section was really interesting, so I hope this one is as well. It is titled On Immaculate Perception. Let's see. When the moon rose yesterday, Bismillah, I fancied that she wanted to give birth to a son. So broad and pregnant she lay on the horizon. But she lied to me with her pregnancy, and I should sooner believe in the man in the moon than in the woman. Ooh. So this seems like kind of a veiled insult to Christianity. But this line here, I should sooner believe in the man in the moon than in the woman, kind of make feminists really mad if you told that to them. Indeed, he is not much of a man either, this shy, nocturnal enthusiast. Oh, I've never seen the man on the moon be described in that way. Verily, with a bad conscience, he passes over the roofs, for he is lecherous and jealous, the monk in the moon, lecherous after the earth and all the joys of lovers. There's a song like Man on the Moon, something. I wonder what that mythos came from with the man on the moon, because Nietzsche is hinting to it. No, I do not like him. This tomcat on the roofs. So the yellow Tong Cat, that's a very common cat that's on the fences. For some reason, you'll see a lot of those cats doing that. I loathe all that crawl about half-closed windows. Piously and silently he passes over carpets of stars. But I do not like softly treading men's feet, on which no spur jingles. The step of everything honest speaks. Whoa. The step of everything honest speaks. Another fantastic line. So notice this, the delicateness, the sneakiness. Whew. Because a tiger, those paws are just quiet. It has to be deceptive in order to not be seen by its prey, which makes it more deadly. So it's like the camouflage is a bit of a lie. And something more honest speaks. The horseshoes coming on the street. You'll hear it, clip-clop, clip-clop. But the cat steals over the ground. Behold, like a cat the moon comes along, dishonestly. This parable I offer you, sentimental hypocrites, you who are pure perceivers, sentimental hypocrites, I call you lechers. You too love the earth and the earthly. I have seen through you. But there is shame in your love and bad conscience. You are like the moon. Your spirit has been persuaded to despise the earthly, but your entrails have not been persuaded, and they are what is strongest in you. And now your spirit is ashamed at having given to your entrails, and to hide from its shame it sneaks on furtive and lying paths. Now this is something to think about here. I like that. We say guts, entrails. He's really showing the distinction between the soul and the electrical impulses of the human flesh. It's the mind-body dichotomy, and how the soul has to struggle against the flesh. This would be the highest to my mind, thus says your lying spirit to itself. To look at life without desire, and not like a dog with my tongue hanging out. To be happy in looking, with a will that has died, and without the grasping and greed of selfishness, the whole body cold and ashen, but with drunken moon eyes This is something very astute here going on. Because this whole "you're like the moon," I see it as someone who has the glow of the moon, who has nur, who has light. There's, when you or have that hue to you, some people can see it as, someone once called me a moon face, and I don't know what they meant by that, but they didn't mean it as a compliment. They're like, "You moon face," and I was like, "What?" And they said it very angrily, they were mad. And he's using this here as that as well. It's interesting. But when he mentions to look at life without desire, so don't look at it like a dog. The dog is very enthusiastic when you see it. Like, yeah, their tongue out, they're shaking. It's like, "What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing?" Like the dogs when they're happy. But the shark is kind of like got these blackened eyes. And he's just hinting at the difference here, and it really makes you think. Has died without the grasping and greed of selfishness. This is the hard part. Look, but don't touch. It's one of the hardest things. Think about that monkey in Aladdin. Abu is his name. He sees this shiny jewel, and then he wants to touch it, and he's looking at it, and he wants to grab it. But if you don't lower your gaze at something you're not supposed to have, you're going to want to grab it. You're going to reach for it. You're going to grasp for it. You gotta watch out. This I should like best. Thus the seduced seduces himself, to love the earth as the moon loves her, and to touch her beauty only with my eyes. And this is what the immaculate perception of all things shall mean to me, that I want nothing from them, except to be allowed to lie prostrate before them like a mirror with 100 eyes. All you sentimental hypocrites, you ledgers, you lack innocence in your desire. Innocence in your desire. That's kind of like, at a certain point, people lose their innocence and their desire, and their intentions are laid bare. And therefore you slander all desire. Verily, it is not, as creators, procreators, and those who have joy in becoming, that you love the earth. Joy in becoming Heideggerian almost sounds like. That you love the earth, where is innocence? Where there is a will to procreate. So that's an interesting line. Where is innocence, where there is a will to procreate? When it comes to humans, that would be a different type of dynamic. Actually, without procreation being there, it's almost a loss of innocence, one could argue. Because then it has no end to it. But when you have the intention to procreate, there's that innocent of purity there, maybe. Purity of intention. Maybe that's what he's getting at. And he who wants to create beyond himself has the purest will. Look at that. Is this talking about male fertility? I wonder. Where is beauty? Where I must will with all my will. Where I want to love and perish, that an image may not remain a mere image, loving and perishing. That has rhymed for eternities. The will to love, that is, to be willing also to die. So, you see this when a parent loves their child, most clearly. Parents who would live for their children but also die to preserve their children's life. I think you would also see this when a man protects his home from a criminal. Thus I speak to you, cowards. But now your emasculated leers, which to be called contemplation. So emasculated leers. So they're emasculated if they're not willing to die for what they love. They don't have the will to love, and they're not willing to die. They're emasculated. Oh, a soy boy liberal atheist will get real mad at that and say you're part of a death cult mindset. And that which permits itself to be touched by cowardly glances, you will baptize beautiful. How you soil noble names. But this shall be your curse. You who are immaculate, you pure perceivers, that you shall never give birth, even if you lie broad and pregnant on the horizon. Verily, you fill your mouth with noble words, and are we to believe that your heart is overflowing? You liars. But my words are small, despised, crooked words. Gladly I pick up what falls under the table at your meals. I can still use it to tell hypocrites the truth. Indeed, my fish bones, clamshells, and thorny leaves shall tickle the noses of hypocrites. Bad air always surrounds you in your meals for your lecherous thoughts. Your lies and secrets are in the air, so you're really getting this sort of atmosphere around these people. When you come into a place, good conversation, there's not talk of aggression, licentiousness, depravity. There's going to be a wonderful feeling. It's more blissful. But lies, secrets, deceptions at a certain table is going to feel uncomfortable, going to feel very awkward. And it is as if it's in the air, isn't it? Would that you dared to believe yourselves and your entrails. Whoever does not believe himself always lies. Let's read that line again. Whoever does not believe himself always lies. Behind a god's mask, you hide from yourselves. In your purity, you revolting worm has crawled into a god's mask. Whoa. Tell us how you really feel, Nietzsche. He really takes a dig at the hypocrites among religions. Verily you deceive with your contemplation. Zarathustra, too, was once fooled by your godlike skins and did not realize that they were stuffed with snakes' coils. So here, those who are... He keeps saying contemplating, so the thinkers, the philosophical class, the spiritual class. He took a jab at teachers as well, so people who tend to claim they have keys to the path of wisdom, or that their shoes are on the path towards wisdom, and knowledge, and such, he really is showing how there's a crawled worm behind that mask. You're not really who you say you are. And within you, you're stuffed with snake coils. I once fancied that I saw a god's soul at play in your play, you pure perceivers. So he keeps saying pure perceivers when it makes you think of deceivers. So, pure perceivers, you can think of it as they're supposed to be purely perceiving the spiritual realm, the spiritual nature, and transmitting that knowledge to their flocks, to their members and whatnot. But he sees them as purely weak. He's perceiving them in a different type of pureness, as in he's seeing who they really are, and can even, one could argue, be using this pure perceiver as a sort of ironic insult. No better art I once fancied than your arts, Snakes, filth, and bad odors were concealed from me by the distance. Ooh, that's a line. Okay, so snakes filth. Sometimes snakes, they poop. And they have some other stuff that comes out on you. I had a neighbor who bred snakes back when I lived with my grandparents. And I was holding a corn snake. And it went to the bathroom on me. But in the room you can smell the reptile smell. They have their own scent. It's not scary, but it's identifiable. And I wanted to have a pet snake. But my husband said the smell of them is not good. Because when he was in the jungles in Yucatan, when you smell the snake in the woods when you're hunting and there's poisonous snakes, it triggers an alarm in you. It's very different than people who live in the city can have a snake as a pet versus when you're actually hunting and all of a sudden you smell that smell, you're looking around cautiously. Rattlesnakes, they'll rattle to you. Not every snake has a rattle. And when you're far away you can't smell it, but as you get closer you smell the rattlesnake's natural scent. And if you're in like a breeding ground of them where they've all gone to the bathroom or where they like to live, it has a scent. And so having a snake den, a viper's den, think about that, where the snakes gather and breed. He's showing that these individuals he's talking about, he knew they were snakes by the scent. It comes from it's a very nice parable, very symbolic here for us. And that the cunning of a lizard was crawling around lecherously. Yeah, some snakes, and lizards, they do that. But I came close to you, and the day dawned on me, and now it dawns on you too. The moon's love has come to an end. That sounds very occultic. The dawning of a new age. The dawning of a new era. And then you see, this dawned on me when the sun comes up. Sometimes I don't start walking until the sun's risen up, because when the dawn comes, that's when the sun rays come, the frost is less biting on your fingers when you go out. And so that expression, when it dawns on you, is like when the idea comes, like there's a light, a separation there. The rays of knowledge have come to you and it's dawned on you. So the way he's using this, dawned on me, dawns on you, the moon's love has come to an end. The moon in the night is a mercy. You know, if you've ever been in a forest when the moonlight is showing versus when it's not and you don't have a torch or a flashlight, you begin to see the mercy of the moon. By the permission of Allah, as in Allah created the moon and it gives us light, you begin to see its utility and function, as well as with the waves, how it handles the waves of the ocean, and being a lunatic, lunatic. It's like people would be more la luna in Spanish, the female moon. People would be more weird get more 911 calls on the moon, go crazy with the moon. That's when the mythos and stories of the werewolf came in. Full moon comes up, they change into another creature. When some women get their periods on a consistent cycle on more full moons. There's a lot of things about the moon and how you look at it. Some people, Islam has the moon crescent, Ramadan. The moon is an interesting thing. I don't know if this is accurate, but someone said like the sun calendar is like the Gregorian calendar and that the Islamic calendar is more around the moon. I don't remember if that's true. But when he's bringing up the moon's love here, there's so much packed into that statement when you look at it. Look there, caught and pale, he stands there, confronted by the dawn. See, like, confronted by the dawn. And then moonlight, you're having fun in the woods. But then you see the break of day, and you have to get out, go home. The party's over. For already she approaches, glowing, her love for the earth approaches. All solar love is innocence and creative longing. Ooh, look at that. Lunar love, solar love. Look there, how she approaches impatiently over the sea. Do you not feel the thirst and the hot breath of her love? She would suck at the sea and drink its depth into her heights. So it sounds like the process of evaporation. And the sea's desires rise towards her with 1,000 breaths. It wants to be kissed and sucked by the thirst of the sun. It wants to become air and height and a footpath of light, and itself light. Verily, the sun and I love life in all deep seas. All deep seas? That's an interesting line, because at a certain point in the ocean and the sea, the light don't make it there. And that's where you go into this darkness, like where the Titanic is, in the bottom of the Atlantic. Pure darkness. And this is what perceptive knowledge means to me. All that is deep shall rise up to my heights. Thus spoke Zarathustra. Well, well, well. This was interesting. Also reptilian symbology. Lots of lunar, solar things going on. He's a great writer. Emasculated leers. Where is innocence, where there is a will to procreate, and he who wants to create beyond himself has the purest will. Bars. Pure perceivers. That there's really behind the god's mask a revolting worm. Remember in that movie 10,000 BC where the priestly class all gross, you know? It kind of reminds me of that. Like, there was a time, Orin's 300 Spartans, where the high, intoxicated, stupid virgin ladies I'm high and I'm gonna have a prophecy. And the priest class are gold and they're ugly, you know, and they're supposed to be these spiritual figures, but they look grotesque. And something to that I'm getting from Nietzsche here, you know. I have seen in Hinduism some people who have deformities are something special about them. I don't recall. There was one Hindu guy, he had sadly some type of birth defect that's elephant face or something. And they put garlands on him and stuff, or they do things for two-headed cows and children born with birth defects. That there's some incarnation of something. I'm not sure, I totally forgot what it was. But Hindus seem to do this a lot. The deformed being propped up when it's really not that. You shouldn't shame the deformed, but you don't prop them up as the ideal. You know, fetishizing them and whatnot. So, when he talks about purity and veneer of self-righteousness, and how their mouth was filled with noble words, but he can only really get small clamshells and fish bones from them. So they're having a cornucopia of food for thought coming out, you think. But when you examine it, it's really just the crusts and crumbs of nothing. There's not a hunk of meat there to munch on in your mind. This is a very clever type of writing style, which touches on natural language, slang, poetry, allegory, symbolism, and much more. And very mentally stimulating, I must say. I can see why some of his works have made it so long. I hope you enjoyed. The next section says, on scholars. He's gonna roast us. He's gonna roast us. Let me know, and if you'd like to join my blog and support the channel, you can do so via the blog, which is www.subscribestar.com/Milahan Archive. Hope to see you there.